Wednesday, December 5th, 2012. We will be interviewing Scott Murphy. Scott, could you please provide us a brief introduction of yourself?
How brief?
Like your name, date of birth.
Okay, my name is Scott Murphy. I was born September 6, 1982. So I'm 30 years old. Going to school in the GI Bill. 2 young daughters, 3.5, 1.5. Married 4 years. This is, I guess I'm in my junior year of college. So 2 more years and I should graduate, unless I go for my master's.
Why did you decide to join the Army?
I joined the Army to straighten out my life.
And what branch you service?
Army?
Why did you decide to join this specific branch?
I have a tattoo on the back of my head, at the bottom of my hairline, that you can't see if my hair is this length, but if I have a military cut, you can see it. So the Army has tattoo regulations that, for whatever reason, dictate if you can come. So I was outside of standards. It was like 2004 or 5. They started changing the laws to let more people. They needed more bodies, so they changed. They had to be less strict. So they would waive stuff for criminal records. They would just get rid of a lot of regulations. So it ended up allowing me to join the Army. The Marines never lowered their regulations. The Navy, the Air Force, they all have stricter regulations because they're a smaller force. The Army is capable of being a self-sustaining military. The Army can do it all.
And what was your rank?
Specialist D4.
Where did you serve overall?
I served Georgia, in Savannah, outside of Savannah. When I was deployed, I served in Iraq, a place called Al Anbar Providence. It was between Fallujah and Ramadi, a place called Habaniya, Camp Habaniya.
What was your life like before you joined?
I joined kind of later in life, so I was already 24. When I was 18, actually when I was 16, I ran away from my house and I lived with my buddy. When I was 17 or 18, I moved back home, but I was still under my own rules. The school allowed me to sign permission to say I was in charge of myself at 18. So if I didn't want to go to school, I would write my own excuse letter. And I would say, please excuse Scott Murphy from school because, and I just write something stupid, like I had music lessons with Coolio, and they would take it. So then at 18 and a half, I got in a motorcycle accident. I had to learn how to re-walk. I was in the hospital for like a month. So I ended up, I guess at that time I was already kind of into drugs anyways, from 16 to 18. But then when I got in a motorcycle accident, I started doing like heavier drugs, like Oxycontins that were prescribed to me and stuff. And then so through the years, I just went on a worse and worse path with no direction, no schooling. So I joined, so at that time I came to the realization that I was either like do nothing with the rest of my life or try to change it.
Where were you living at that time?
Worcester, Shrewsbury.
Do you recall your first days of service?
I do.
What were they like?
It was just a lot of sitting, a lot of instructions. The first day of the military is set up to really get the younger, less mature kids to kind of wake up and realize that the military is for real. What they're training you is to save your life someday. So there's a transition where you have the kids that always lived at home and always had their parents like do everything for them, and they need to take that cycle and break it and make you your own person.
Going back a little bit, was there an organization you worked with before you joined?
No.
So tell me about your boot camp training experiences.
It was alright. I liked doing PT anyways. So if you get in, their main goal is to teach you how to be a soldier, teach you how to survive, and get you in the best shape that you can. I liked working out, so the working out problem wasn't a problem. I listened to directions well enough so that wasn't a problem. It just teaches you how to be a soldier. Is all it is. It's as hard or as easy as you want it to be. It depends if you want to fight the system at that time. It's probably not a good time to fight the system, but there are kids that get outlined, and it's a lot harder if you. It's a lot easier if you just listen and do what you gotta do.
And do you remember any of your instructors?
Yeah, all my instructors were pretty decent guys. Most of them, I would say, had deployed because the war started in 2001. Yeah, they were all good. They were talking from experience. The Army was in a transition period where, they used to do a lot of like drill and ceremony, and you would march, and they kind of changed over because that wasn't saving soldiers' lives. I can teach you to be as pretty as I want, and that's not going to teach you to shoot. So we're in the transition where they're really focusing, giving you skills to survive.
Were you a target of any of them? Like, did any of them expect more from you?
No, I think I already expected more for myself. I probably, for PT wise, I probably was in the top of the class. I never got in trouble. I don't think one time. So yeah, I was never singled out.
Which wars did you serve in?
Operation Iraqi Freedom from January 2007 to April 2008, 15 months.
Do you remember arriving?
Yep.
What was it like?
It was scary. When you actually first arrive, you arrive in Kuwait first. So you land in Kuwait. The reason for that is to climatize. It's hot there. The Army, you will be wearing, long sleeve pants, long sleeve shirt. You have your helmet. You have all your body armor. You have at least 70 pounds of gear, and it's over 100 degrees out. So they want you to get used to, your body needs to get used to that climate, or else if you go to combat, your body just wouldn't adjust it. So, you're there for a week, and then you fly into Iraq. That's weird, because when you first get there, you don't know where you're going. Like, these names and stuff, but you've never been there. You don't know, when I land, is it like, 10 miles, 5 miles, is it a combat zone? How close to, like, action am I? So you hear, like, how far you're going to go, how you're going to get there. We were put into like an open campus bus, and they're like, yeah, we're going to drive, to your place. So, it didn't turn out to be too far. We only temporarily went outside the wire one time. Outside the wire is what they call, the base is the safe zone with the wire fence. Anytime you cross that fence, it's called going outside the wire.
When you first got there, what was your job?
When I first got there, my whole job was field artillery. When you first get there, your job is nothing. It's set up so that the group leaving, it's a transition, so it's smooth. They will start training you. They don't just, leave and then leave it to you. It's a transition. So the first time you're there, you're kind of just chilling. You're getting comfortable. You're setting up, you're setting up your living quarters, and then you just slowly progress into the job. But my job was field artillery.
Did you see combat?
Yeah, we saw, we were field artillery, so we did mostly shooting out. I don't think that counts as combat. We did a lot of, we did 3 missions. We did train denial, so if a terrorist is shooting from a central location and he keeps using that location, we will bomb that area so they can't use it. The other one is we shoot illumination rounds for infantry if they're doing like towns, if they are kicking in doors. At midnight you shoot off all these illumination rounds, so it's brighter than daytime. And then the other thing is just shooting targets. So I don't think that counts as combat. We were also guarding outpost, and they blew it up with like a 4,000-pound bomb because we lived so close, like literally on the bridge. So everyone that was there got what's called the combat action badge, which means that you have to have seen combat. I'm not sure if that really still counts as combat. I don't know. Did I like shoot a rifle at someone? No, but that wasn't really my job.
Were there many casualties in your unit?
No, my unit got lucky. We didn't have any. In our brigade, which is maybe 1,000 people, we had a couple. Some of them, a couple were human error. This one kid found a grenade and he put it in his backpack on a mission. And when he was going into the helicopter, he didn't realize the static electricity from the helicopter. Maybe it wasn't grenades, some type of source, but the static electricity set the bomb off in his bag, so killed himself.
What were some of your most memorable experiences?
Like good memory or bad memory?
Either one.
Uh, when you're there, it's a culture, it's a shock, I guess. But I guess you only look back at it from today's point of perspective, not when you're there. When it's there, you try to make it as normal as as possible. You work out, you live in the sand, you eat. You just make yourself feel like as much family as you can with the people around. It just becomes like once you get into that rhythm, even though a lot of stuff changes, you just focus on the rhythm, and you kind of just sit there.
Were you a prisoner of war?
No.
Tell me about your experiences in captivity.
No, I said no. So captivity
Oh.
would be
Yeah,
yeah,
that.
yes. Thank God. That's the one thing you don't want is. I never was scared about like blowing up and dying. I didn't want to get like, a lot of soldiers come back like maimed and stuff, and that's like, the one thing I didn't. Or prisoner of war too. I'm not looking forward to that.
Alright. Did you stay in touch with your family?
Yeah, we at that time most people were using MySpace, not Facebook, but so it didn't have Yahoo or whatever had like the Skype kind of, but it was nowhere near the Skype that they have today, kick out and stuff. But yeah, you would talk on a phone usually. Usually you talk to a family maybe once a week, once a month. If people have like wives or girlfriends or so, they might talk every day, but.
What was the food like?
When we first got there, the food sucked. They gave us MREs, which stand for meals ready to eat. And it's just like a pre-made meal. You open it up and then you add water. We had Marines that were cooking for us, and they only cooked 2 meals a day. One of them was like breakfast at 6. One was at dinner. Nobody wanted to wake up for breakfast at 6, so we only ate one meal a day in MREs. After 4 months there, we got what's called Third World Nationals, and so they built us this huge dining facility, which was like the best food ever. It was like the best salad bar. They had a salad bar, hot food bar, sandwich bar, ice cream bar, anything you wanted. They had that food, and you could just get as much food as you wanted. And then they had 4 meals a day. They had a midnight snack too. So because we worked 24 hours, when we were at the gun pad, as 12 o'clock would have someone go, and they get milk, cereal. They had every juice drink, not juice drink, like sports drinks, amped and all that stuff that you could want. And you just had like, it's like a kid in a candy store. Every Gatorade that you want, unlimited. Junk food, cookies, probably shouldn't have, ice cream. Probably, I guess I eat too much junk food.
At times, did you feel like pressured or were you stressed?
I imagine being there at the time. Maybe I was stressed around different things. They would change up our jobs a lot. There was not as much routine as there should have been. We had a general that was a colonel that was really trying to get promoted. When officers get promoted, they have this like piece of paper that's like, this is what I did, look at me. And it has all these bullets. So each different job is a bullet. So the more they have, the better it looks. But what he would do is, over expand the force so that each one would have more jobs. So it looks good for him where everyone else is. So we would do this one thing where we got this outpost, a straight 2 weeks doing like 12 hours on, 12 hours off, 12 hours on, 12 hours off for 2 weeks, and then come back and do 24 hours on, 24 hours off, 24 hours on. And it came to this time where we never knew what our next job was going to be. We never knew, like, sometimes they were breaking up the battery and they send like 1 or 2 people by themselves to like another battery. And like nobody wanted to do that because you kind of build a family. So it's like, if I was your brother and we were hanging out every day for like 6 months, and then there's like a rumor that one of you, is going away, then you're like, always thinking about that starts getting stressful. Especially because you don't want to be the one. It's 1 out of 100 people. You don't want to be that one person that goes.
Was there anything special you did for good luck?
No, at the time I was borderline. I guess I would say at the time I was religious. I have 2 religious tattoos on my abs. One of them is a poem I got before I joined. So so I kind of used that poem, I guess, for I guess it wouldn't be called luck for religion, but so I guess that was my belief.
How did you people entertain themselves?
When we were living on base, we had TVs, we had Xboxes, we had cards. I worked out a ton. We had a welcome center which had like internet connection. So you just regular websites. We had a foosball table. I would say the most part was probably like sleeping, Xbox, working out.
Were you ever on leave?
Yeah, I got 2 weeks leave.
What did you do?
So I flew back home. So my mom lives in Missouri. So when I came home, though, I came to Boston. It's very vague what I did. I don't even remember. Because I was drinking age. You don't drink there the whole time, so I just probably got, out of control, drunk for probably 2 solid weeks. See as much family as you can, but it's a weird time because, you know you're going back, so it's a really weird experience because you're home. So when you're home, you're not dead, but you still have the potential to go and then die, at that time.
Where did you travel while in the service?
Say again?
Where did you travel?
For combat, it's just Iraq. Ramadi, in between Ramadi and Fallujah. I stayed at one base. Because I was only in for like 4 years, so I never switched bases. Besides training I did in Oklahoma.
Oh. Do you recall any like humorous event or unusual event?
I guess like a specific one. The whole time you try to make like as light of a situation as you can. So it's a lot of like humor, picking on people. So you probably don't want to be the person picked on. But so when my buddy fell asleep, we covered him with like shaving cream and like tickled his face, so he had to like smash it. But mostly it's like just doing stuff like that. You if someone falls asleep, you like tie them to their cot and then you like put them outside or something like that, or stuff like that.
Do you have photograph?
I had a lot on a computer, and I got a virus, which I'm not happy about. So I think I lost some. I actually guessed my password for MySpace and went back on it. I guess they don't delete stuff. I had a lot of pictures from that. My buddy in California has like a hard drive full of them, so I just need to send him, my hard drive to get those pictures.
Who are the people in the photographs?
Most of the people in the photographs were the people in my section. We existed of a group of like maybe 5 people. Most, I guess, the pictures of my close friend Bastella, Schaefer, and Southwick. So it's just like, the photographs will either be like, a lot of the photographs are places. So it'll be like a bombed out building or like, different scenes that you probably will never see like here. And then the other half is just like pictures of like friends and doing stuff like that.
Did you keep a personal diary?
No, that probably would have been a good idea.
Yeah. Do you recall the day your service ended?
Vaguely. For me to get out, it was a hassle. I saved up enough leave. You're allowed to save up. You get 30 days of leave, and you can use them ahead of time to get out of early. So you're out of the military, but you still get paid. So I saved up 2 months, and I went to get out, and they said that I couldn't get out because they were redeploying, and even though my contract was up, they were doing stop loss, where they would say, your unit's deploying in this day, you would leave after that day, so because of that, you have to go for the whole deployment. So they try to make me go for a second deployment past my enlisted obligation. So it took me a while to get out. I ended up getting out on medical leave for arthritis, for my knees and my hip, my wrist. I broke my wrist on a motorcycle, and so I couldn't do push-ups anymore. If you can't do push-ups, part of the PT test, you have to do push-ups, run, and sit-ups. If you can't do push-ups, then you can't be in the military. So it ended up, which was good for me because I wanted to get out. They wouldn't let me. I got med boarded out, which made me medically retired. So now I get all the benefits as if I retired from the military. Only doing 4 months. So I get paid a monthly stipend for the rest of my life, just because they were unwilling to let me out at the regular time.
Mm. So, when you got out, what did you do the day afterwards?
So I ended up having a drive from Georgia to Massachusetts, and I drove. So at that point it was stressful because I had to get, I had to unload all the stuff, and I had to get the truck weighed. They paid you per the weight of the truck. So if your truck was really heavy, you got like a lot of money for moving. If you're willing to move yourself, they pay you as if you were the mover. So I did that because it turned out to be like $6,000 or $10,000. It was a lot of money. So I was like, yeah, I'll definitely do it. So it was really stressful trying to get all that stuff into like a storage place because we didn't have an apartment yet. We were staying at my wife's family's, so we were unable to move our stuff right into our apartment. The first day I got out, I probably just did regular stuff. I was on, by the time I got out, my unit had already deployed. There's only like a handful of us back at, the base. So we had a pretty chill. Once they deployed, it was like not too much work.
Did you work or did you go back to school?
I went back to school the first week I was out of the Army. I just started working about a year ago. I worked full-time, and then now I'm down to part-time. I'd rather not work. They pay you a stipend to go to school, so they pay for your school, and then they also pay you like a monthly allowance. So with that, with my other monthly allowance, I really don't have to work. I wouldn't live like a expensive lifestyle, but it'd be enough to like survive.
So your education was supported by the GI Bill?
Yep. Right now I'm switching to what's called voc rehab. Still kind of the same system. It's still the government paying for it. But if you have a higher percent rating, they'll switch you to this other program that's more geared to getting you a job, not just a degree. So because I have an 80% disability, I'm switching to that this year. It's same thing. They pay for a little more stuff. They'll pay for your school supplies, stuff like that. And if I can convince them I need a master's to get a job, the job I'm looking for in my field, then they will pay for a master's, where the GI Bill ends at 36 months and that's it, which is plenty of time for a bachelor's, but it's not enough time for a master's.
All these friends you had, do you continue those relationships?
Yeah, I talk to most of them. I guess not as frequently. Now with Facebook though, you're a lot more connected to people. I would say there's people I'm really connected to. There's probably be about three, maybe 4 people. Four people. Probably about it. I had one friend who was really close with, but he killed himself. So about a year ago. So don't talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, man.
It's alright.
What did you join a veterans organization?
Yeah, I'm part of the vet club here at school. I was thinking of joining the VFW. Having like 2 kids in school and work is tough to do outside stuff. So I have the vet club here. I also do. There's another group I'm affiliated with that does a lot of like charity work, and they have a specific. Group that like you have to be a veteran to belong to.
What kind of activities like does your post or association have?
The group I'm in?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of services?
Yeah.
I don't know, they do more stuff too. I'm not really sure. The vet club is more like a club, so it's more like a hangout spot. The other group I'm part of does a lot of charity work, different types of um, charity donating and stuff like that, but nothing like really centered, I guess, around like vet activities. The vet club does do stuff. This is my first semester here, so I don't do too much with them.
Do you attend like reunions?
No. I don't. Usually reunions, I guess maybe they do it they always have them on TV for Vietnam and stuff like that. Usually a reunion would be like if an event was like really famous, I guess. But no, we don't really do it. I think World War II they did too. I think the difference between World War II is like World War II had like a real end date, so like they all ended together. Where like the wars today, there is no end date. So I get out and I go home, but someone else is still in. Someone else is in another war, So there would be no like one event. They would have so many reunions to go to because some people that I know deployed like 4 times, so they've seen like many different people. So I think reunions will be less today because there's not a clear clear end. People that ended Iraq just kind of went to Afghanistan, so you never have time you never all came back and all got out together.
So you said before you joined the army, you were like a guy who likes to drink and stuff.
Yeah.
After you got back out, was there any difference?
By the time I got out, I had already had one kid. I stopped doing drugs was probably my bigger thing than drinking, but I stopped, in the service, I stopped doing drugs. When I got out, when I was still in, probably before the kid, I would drink more. I think what changed was having a kid made me drink less. Or, I barely drink at all. If I drink now, it's not to get drunk. I'll drink a Sam Adams with dinner for the taste of the Sam Adams, but never enough to get drunk.
So your service and experience affect your life?
Yeah, I think it has to. Going somewhere in like every day thinking that you're gonna die, but it's weird too because when you're home you have this feeling like when you're stressed, like being over there is less stressful because it's there's a lot of order and there's a lot of exactly what's gonna happen. Like kind of the next day you're more like in tune with it. When you hear there's a lot of like other people interfering with stuff. There's a lot of other worries, families and school and homework. When you're over there, you don't have homework. When you're over there, you don't have school. When you're over there, someone that's having a bad day or whatever, family or whatever, that shit doesn't matter. So it changes you because like, I don't know. And then it's a lot different to look at people that maybe hadn't deployed or something. So it's just maybe a different outlook on life.
I'm not saying that you want to, but if there's still a chance you could go back to the army, would you want to go back?
Sometimes I would say yes, because I was older when I was getting out. I guess being in the army depends who's in charge of you. If you have someone that runs a ship where like one person gets in trouble, everyone gets in trouble, you don't want to be under that control for too long. Especially if that you see it's favoritism. So if you're a certain rank, these rules don't apply to you. But if you're this rank, it doesn't matter that you want to be home with your family on the weekend. Because it's 18-year-old got drunk driving, you have to come home and stand in formation for 12 hours. So like that kind of stuff made me end up just like, want to get out. If it was just being in the service, then I would have. But you have a lot of people that joined that were like, kind of like, sometimes police officers, if you have that real aggressive police officer or something like that, if you have a position of power, some people that never had power like those positions, and then once they get the power, they don't use it appropriately because they come from a place of never having it. So it's like that kid that you always pick on. If you imagine one day he was in charge of you, not that you pick on anyone, but just the kid that's picked on. If you imagine that he's now in charge of the person that picked on him, so it's kind of sometimes seen like you can see those leaders that. Real for the power, and it's not. it's not a system that you want to live under.
So during service, how often did you think of home?
Deployment or just being in, like, so I lived in Georgia. I was from here, Massachusetts. At that time, Georgia kind of was my home. So never, unless by home you're referring to like family, then you probably think about them just the same. In Iraq, I guess you don't really think about home in general. You just think about stuff that you take for granted. Going to the mall, walking outside, sitting under a tree, getting up and just walking. Like you take, or just driving on a highway. You take that for granted. It's not really home. It's more of a feeling of everything. So you think about what you no longer have, as opposed to just one centralized your house.
So did you carry any physical things like guilt, love, or something?
After when I got out, or
While
when
in
I was in,
service, when you were.
like guilt for like being away from family or something like that. Again, I was older. I was 24, so I didn't leave right at home. My mom lived in another state, so it wasn't like I moved away from my family. So, no, I don't think so.
Alright. Is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered?
No. I think the military works for some people. It doesn't work for others. A weird thing is once I've gotten out there, I've become more of a, when I was in the military, kind of like in school and stuff, they kind of breed you to really love America. You really have to love America. You really have to show it. And the history of America always being a military force. And the reason I deployed was to go to combat. It was not just to like serve. It wasn't to, you have a lot of people say, thank you for your service, but I didn't join to serve for you. I joined straight out of my life, and I joined to go to combat. At the time, I wanted to go to combat. I figured when it's looked back on in history, so you look back at like Vietnam, you really want to be alive and be like, well, I was alive then, but I didn't deploy. So at the time, that's my feeling. Now I'm more pacifist. I actually don't believe that the Army should use military as its whole basis for always being the policeman of the country, because in the end it turns out that it's our kids, brothers and sisters that are dying, and they're dying for not the best of causes.
Alright, so thank you, Scott. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Alright.